Welcome to the Legacy Crusaders YouTube channel. This is Benji, and today we're going to be talking about building a deck to go first and second. Now, most competitive players actually build their decks to go first, so that when they win the dice roll, they have control of the game. The only thing your opponent can do to you is activate hand traps to try and slow you down. So the first thing I would recommend is that you build your deck to go first and fill it with a lot of hand traps. And because you're going to be filling your deck with a lot of hand traps, there's a good chance that you brick on all of those hand traps. So the deck that you do play has to play a bunch of 1 or 2 card combos, maybe 3 card combos mostly, but where you can work with as few cards as possible, allowing you to not brick on your own hand traps. Now, the reason the hand traps are so important, because hand traps are the only thing you can really do if your opponent goes first. So if your opponent is going first, your turn 2 game plan is to disrupt their turn 1 play to a point where their board is suboptimal, allowing you to potentially break their board and take control of the game. Not every deck has cards in it that are better suited to going second, so the easiest thing to do is to just play hand traps. Disrupt your opponent, make a play on their turn. Now, if you're going first, you can play cards like Called by the Grave to potentially stop hand traps that your opponent might play. Additionally, you're also going to be playing a bunch of 1 or 2 card combos, and have your own hand traps to back you up should they disrupt your play. Now, this seems kind of silly because everyone's essentially doing this. Everyone's playing a deck that can do a lot with 1 or 2 card combos and hand traps to stop everyone. So it's really important that you know the format really well and you're very much aware of what cards you need to stop in every matchup so that you can potentially come out on top, whether you're going first or second. Now, I'm under the impression that many of you were not hoping to hear play a lot of hand traps as the strategy for going first and second. And the truth is, I don't play many hand traps in the deck that I play. I play Infernoid Altergeist, a single combo deck you can find a link to in the card above on the Legacy Crusaders blog channel, which is where I post anything that isn't really appropriate for this channel. But I play that deck because it's built to have a bunch of 1 and 2 card combos that go first and second. And it's not really a hand trap deck. It does play Infinite Impermanence because that combos well with my Altergeist multi-faker, but that's the only reason that card is in the deck. But going first, I have either my Decatron, my Vanishment, my Feast. Those cards are good going first. And even though they don't end on ridiculous boards, going first, as long as you put up some level of disruption at all, and your opponent didn't have many hand traps, you could stop your opponent pretty well. I've kind of come to the conclusion over time that going first is just a better decision. Going first, you could put up a very small amount of resistance against your opponent, and then they probably won't be able to defeat you at that point. But my deck also happens to play a lot of going second cards, like Void Imagination, Decatron, Meliseek, 1 for 1. A lot of cards I can use to break through my opponent's board whenever they do end up going first. And I at least do play some degree of hand traps for going second, because I have the Infinite Impermanence, but I could also use that going first. So it's somewhat better than like Ash Blossom or Effect Veiler because of the limitations on those hand traps. We're not going to get into which hand traps are the best, nor are we going to get into which decks are the best in this format, because decks from format to format will change, and this video won't be relevant at that time. But if you know the format and everybody's going first, you should build your deck to go first as well, because their deck is not built to go second, with the exception of running hand traps. So it's up to you to experiment and play around with whether you want to play Called by the Graves, whether or not your hand trap count is high enough or low enough, what deck is the most troublesome for you, how to break your opponent's boards with hand traps, prevent them from building them anyway, and how to play through your opponent's hand traps, and what can you do if they hit you in the right place or the wrong place, where can you end. And that's going to wrap up this little discussion. There'll be a bunch of these coming out because they're moving at the moment. I can't really do the standard videos. I wanted to try something new, so I'll see you guys next time.